USCS must approve both components of I-526 to be approved. 5 key criteria, the investment meets EB-5 requirements. So this is talking about the project side of things. Well, as a practical matter, EB-5 is a passive investment and you don't do very much. But don't tell the US government that. You're not supposed to be a passive investor. You're supposed to be actively involved.
As an individual investor, nearly every denial we've seen over the past many years has been related to that source of funds, as long as the project was structured appropriately.
And unfortunately, there's people out there who are brokers who will lie to you and mislead you about other projects. So always independent review, no reason to take a risk.
Capital gains. This is capital earned by the investor or spouse from the sale of an asset with a gain. You buy stock for $10, it goes to $30, you have a gain of $20. You buy a house for $100,000, it goes up in value to $400, you've had a gain.
Whatever, if you have private businesses and you pay yourself dividends, or you have other source of income coming from private institutions that are not regulated or are not held through a bank, you need then to supply your annual tax return, which is called Modello Redditi or 730.
When you have a business and you use business income, one of the things that they will look for is a register of shareholders. In some countries, there's no requirement to have a register of shareholders. So the key, I think, with gifting is you've got to show the person gifting the money, where did that money come from? And they almost sort of step into your shoes. They step into your shoes as the applicant, in that you need to prove where did those gifted funds from. It is unlawful to borrow money against a real property and to remit those funds out of the country. There's a couple of European jurisdictions that have that rule. And then India probably is the most notorious for that rule.
The main problem there is to prove which are the sources of funds, what's the goal of those sources of funds. So the problem is backwards. They say, okay, so what you going to do with that money? Normally they prefer to have a high disclosure on the asset and the asset to be located in Italy. Those are not standard practices. They may do that for certain particular cases. So now it's becoming the exception, not the norm.